Tony Scott's science fiction thriller, Deja Vu, boldly mixes the central concept behind Steven Spielberg's Minority Report and the one behind Otto Preminger's Laura. I'm Stephen Archibald, and welcome to my movie podcast.
It's a phenomenon known as Deja Vu. You arrive at a place you've never been, but it feels familiar. You look into the face of a stranger, and you feel like you've known her all your life.
Have we met?
Yeah, we have.
Hello to you. I bid you a warm welcome to They Came From Within Cult Movie Reviews, starting all over again. Deja Vu 2006. Deja Vu is a fast-moving, entertaining movie. It can be likened to Minority Report in that it has a determined hero who strives to prevent preordained murders from taking place. And it is similar to the classic 1994 film Laura in that it has a leading man who becomes obsessed with a dead woman. Denzel Washington stars as Douglas Carlin, a special agent with the AFT, that is, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives. A massive explosion kills 543 people who were travelling on a ferry on the Mississippi River. Many US Navy sailors and their families were on board. Carlin is amongst those who are sent to investigate. The corpse of Claire Kucheva is discovered among the dead. However, Douglas soon learns that her body was found in the river before the huge blast occurred. Emotionally drawn to the deceased woman by her beauty and the nature of her tragic demise, Carlin becomes even more determined to catch the killer. Impressed by his deductive skills, the FBI agent Paul Priswara introduces Carlin to a most unusual, high-tech surveillance program known as Snow White. It turns out to be a technical project which can not only observe events from 4.5 days prior, but can also transport a person back in time by 4.5 days. And as sure as night follows day, it's Carlin who becomes the first person to try out this sophisticated time machine in the hopes of saving Carla and the ferry passengers from a ruthless domestic terrorist. Deja Vu was co-written by Bill Marsili and Terry Rosario. Rosario's writing credits include the 1992 version of Aladdin, the first Shrek movie, and all 5 of the Pirates of the Caribbean pictures. Unfortunately, Bill and Terry were not pleased with how this film turned out. They felt that their complex time travel ideas were toned down by Tony Scott in favour of action sequences, thereby creating certain inconsistencies in the plot. Even so, the way in which the story marries concepts such as time windows and wormholes with state-of-the-art technology remains deeply fascinating. The role of Claire Kircher went to the rather gorgeous Paula Patton, who made her first big screen appearance in the Will Smith movie Hitch in 2005. This was Paula's most high-profile role until she took the part of the IMF agent Jane Carter in the 4th Mission Impossible movie, Ghost Protocol, from 2011. She got to work with Denzel once again on the action comedy movie Two Guns, which came out in 2013.
Deja Vu is believed by many to be a trick of the mind. But the truth is far more extraordinary.
What if you had to tell someone the most important thing in the world, but you knew they'd never believe you?
I tried.
Paula was also in the 2008 horror film Mirrors and the acclaimed 2009 drama Precious. The pivotal role of the villain went to the dashing Jim Caviezel, who had played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ just 2 years earlier. In this film, he portrays the sinister Carol Orsted, a far-right terrorist who the writers partly modelled on Timothy McVeigh, the man who carried out the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995, a truly dreadful act which resulted in 168 deaths. I find it ironic that Jim is best known on TV for playing John Reese in the sci-fi drama series Person of Interest. As with Deja Vu, it has a time travel theme, although, in the case of Person of Interest, it involves technology which can predict murders before they occur. And it is intriguing to know that Denzel's son, John David, has starred in his own distinctive time travel movie, Christopher Nolan's Tenet, which came out in 2020. Director Tony Scott, who died in tragic circumstances in August 2012, made 5 movies with Denzel Washington. Apart from this one, they collaborated on Crimson Tide from 1995, as well as the 2004 version of Man on Fire and the 2009 version of The Taking of Pelham 123. Their final movie together was Unstoppable, which came out in 2010. It proved to be Tony's final picture. It would seem that Tony had to live in the shadow of his more celebrated brother, Ridley. But, to be honest, I love most of the movies that both siblings have made. Tony's other works include The Hunger, Top Gun, True Romance, Enemy of the State, and Spy Game. Returning to the screenplay for a moment, it's good to know that the writers received advice on time travel matters from the theoretical physicist Brian Greene. Filming took place on Deja Vu in New Orleans and California. The extensive New Orleans shooting commenced in February 2006, just 6 months after the area had been devastated by Hurricane Katrina. Val Kilmer made a number of visits to New Orleans in late 2005 to help out with the disaster relief. In fact, when Tony Scott, Denzel Washington, and Jim Caviezel were all in New Orleans, alongside Val Kilmer, they attended a news conference in which they stated several people from the hurricane-struck area would be employed on the movie. By the way, Val Kilmer had previously worked with Tony Scott on Top Gun and True Romance. This film makes great use of the Beach Boys classic Don't Worry Baby, and I quite like its theme tune, Coming Back to You, which was nicely performed by Macy Gray. Paul Cameron's slick, attractive cinematography is another plus. Deja Vu was made on a budget of $75 million. It was released in the States on the 22nd of November 2006, and it made $180.6 million at the box office. Deja Vu is wildly entertaining, and as they say, time flies when you're having fun. I'm Stephen Archibald, and thank you very much for listening to my podcast, They Came From Within, Cult Movie Reviews. You can find all of my episodes from most podcast hosts, and you can even follow me if you like. Take the very best of care, and goodbye for now.
Doug, I've been put in charge of a newly formed investigative unit. I want you on the team. Why me? We've got some unique time constraints. He has been shown a secret.
It's a brand new program. We can look anywhere 4 days in the past.
The government doesn't want you to know.
This is not surveillance. This is the actual past.
Yes.
They found a way to fold space back onto itself. Remember the blackout we had a few years back?
Half the Northeast, you're saying you guys?
50 million homes?
My bad.
Wow.
This Thanksgiving, the key to stopping a disaster
You think you know what's coming? You don't have a clue.
starts by unraveling the mystery of Deja Vu.
What if you had to tell someone the most important thing in the world, but you knew they'd never believe you?